A lot of folks have asked me to do a video on which states they should consider retiring to. And that's a topic for another day. But in today's video, I'm going to share a really popular state to retire to and 5 reasons why maybe you shouldn't consider retiring to that state. The state is Florida, and be sure to stay to the end where I'm going to share the #1 reason why I would be hesitant to move to Florida. So let's go for a walk and start. Okay, my #1 reason to be cautious about moving to Florida is there are no snow days in retirement. And you might be thinking, hey, Azul, no kidding, there's no snow days. But what the kids there do get, they don't get snow days. You can see behind me, you know, where I'm at, we don't get snow days either because the town's used to snow. And what the kids in Florida get is not snow days, but they get hurricane days. And so my #1 reason to be cautious about moving to Florida is just the weather. Florida is the 5th rainiest state in the country. The #1 is 57 inches of rain, which is Hawaii. But close behind that at 54 inches of rain is Florida. So a lot of rain and a lot of rainy days, 115 rainy days. Also, you got to worry about hurricanes and the high winds and the danger that comes with hurricanes. I think the furthest point in Florida away from the ocean is like 160, 170 miles. So it's a fairly narrow state. And it's obviously it's surrounded by water, right? It's a peninsula. It's a huge peninsula, but it's a peninsula at its heart. So in my opinion, not the best weather. I also don't like hot and humid weather. It makes me feel lethargic. And my understanding is it's like 5 months out of the year, it feels pretty hot and muggy. And in fact, Florida is the 2nd most humid state in the nation, and you'll be surprised by what's #1. #1 is Alaska, believe it or not. I didn't know that until I started researching for this. Okay, #2, and it's related to the weather. #2 is homeowners insurance is super expensive in Florida. So yes, there's no state income tax, but there's other things that can be costly, right? And states need to get the revenue that they need to run the state. So while you're not paying state income tax, there's other things that you have to, there's other taxes that you have to pay for to make up for it. And then when you put on top of that the cost of high homeowners insurance as well as car insurance, the homeowner insurance is almost 3 times the national average. The national average is $1,500. And in Florida, it's just over, I should say, $4,000. So that's expensive. Car insurance, let's see if it's car insurance is the 3rd most expensive in the country by state, and it's about 50% more than the national average. So insurance costs are high. In fact, Florida has a state insurance that's kind of an insurance of last resort. If you can't get homeowners insurance any other way, the state has a provider that provides insurance, and it's just under 40% of all homeowners use this insurance. So it's 39% of homeowners. So it just shows the difficulty of getting good quality insurance at an affordable price. Okay, continuing on, that's #2. #3, surprisingly, healthcare. The healthcare system in Florida is not as strong as what I would think it would be given the number of retirees that move down to Florida. It's the 40th state. So, you know, there's 39 states that have better healthcare systems according to third-party verifiers, third-party ranking services. Florida ranks #40 in the nation. So, you know, that's not great. And, you know, I want to share, I grew up just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And Cleveland, Ohio can have long, hard winters. And a lot of people, their dream was to move to Florida when they got older. And my parents, as they approached retirement age, that was kind of their dream to move down there as well. And they were smart. They tested it out for a month. And at the end of the month, both my parents came back and said no interest. And really the reason they had no interest was gets to my next point, which is just traffic and congestion. The traffic, of course, is driven by the crowds. According to the U.S. Census, Florida is the third most populous state in the nation. It has a population of 21 million people, and folks tend to crowd into similar cities. There's very popular cities in Florida. So that tends to steal some joy, right? Every place you go is crowded. Hard to get dinner reservations where you want to eat dinner. There's traffic. There's stretches of the highway in Florida that are some of the most dangerous stretches of highway in the country. So that's another reason, is just the crowds. And you know, frankly, since the pandemic, the COVID rush, you know, the 49ers moved out to California during the gold rush. And was a COVID rush to different places that people wanted to live. And one of those places is Florida. So not only was Florida crowded when my parents were thinking about moving there 2 decades ago, but Florida is very crowded now, and even worse because of that COVID crash. Plus the pricing of the homes have gone up quite a bit because of that. Okay, so that's number 4. And my fifth reason, I talked about traffic before, but you know, Florida, unfortunately, a lot of the United States does not have good public transportation. And Florida is one of those states that does not have good public transportation. And I think, you know, the town I'm in now, believe it or not, the buses here are free. And it's because it's crowded. We're on the shoulder season of the ski season. Right now it's not too crowded, but during ski season, this little town that has a population of like 15,000 normally, you know, just explodes. And frankly, having lived here for a long time, you know, I love the tourists. I love the fact that I get to live someplace that other people like to go on vacation. It's one of the things that drew me here. But the crowds in the winter can just get tiring, specifically around the holidays, to the point where it's like, you know, I don't go to my favorite places because too many other people are at my favorite places. So that was reason number 4. And I think that was reason number 5. Let me see. Yeah, that was reason number 5, is just the poor public transportation. And even in my little town where we have good public transportation, the crowd still just kind of beat down on you after a while. Okay, so the final one, the one that would keep me from moving to Florida. And again, you know, I shared, it was high on the list of my parents when they were thinking about retiring. And they went down and you know, we'd go down there on vacation occasionally to get away from the cold in Cleveland. And they really thought that's where they wanted to move. But for me, one of the big reasons is just gators and bugs. So that's the bonus one for me. Gators and bugs, crocodiles, alligators, all kinds of crazy bugs. And I just wouldn't like the surprises, you know, when there's a spider or some big, ugly looking insect that surprises me. So those are my main ones. I hope you found this useful. If you did find it useful, give me a thumbs up. As the kids say, thumbs for likes and subs for love. If you haven't subscribed yet, think about subscribing. And until next time, I'm Azul, encouraging you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Remember, we're only young once. Let's use our time wisely.